Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to Unacademy UPSC Articulate YouTube channel. This is Nishana Jumuddin, your educator at Unacademy, an expert in Indian economy, current affairs and MCQs. So today in this particular video, I'm here with the most important topic of discussion, that is the fundamentals or basics of economy in just 30 minutes. So this is a very short, simple and to the point course wherein you'll have a quick understanding of all the important concepts of fundamentals of economy in just a quick manner, along with the proper interlinkage of the trend in current affairs followed by the previous year question answer discussion related to the topic of discussion. Not just the previous year question, but also few important mock topics that you need to go through before appearing for the UPSC prelims or mains examination. So this is the holistic course, a one-stop solution as far as economy is concerned. Not just economy and economy current affairs is concerned. So now, as you all know, I'm one of the top plus faculty at Unacademy, handling a lot of batch courses, and I've also mentored 15 lakh plus students. You can just go through my profile. So now in this particular course, guys, it will be very, very useful for you people to have a complete understanding of the most important basics or concepts of economy and thereby interlinking them with the current affairs. This is what everybody is looking, right? So here we go. When you start about the fundamentals of economy, people think we will do the national income concepts like GDP, GNP and all. Absolutely, they are very, very important. But to make it a little different, I have come here with three different diverse topics. Topic number 1 talks about public debt, 2 Panchayat Raj and 3 food security. The reason is because these days a lot of current affairs revolving these important topics in economy is going on. So I thought a quick look into the concepts of these topics along with the current affairs updation is very much important. So that's why these three hit list topics have been chosen today. So here we go. The very first topic of discussion, which talks about public debt. So they come under the branch called as public finance. And public finance is a very broad branch. They consist of 4 factors: public revenue, public expenditure, public debt and deficit financing. So from these 4 pillars, the topic of discussion we are going to do today is public debt. So now in one single term, I can tell you that public debt is equal to the borrowings of the government. It refers to the total borrowings made by the government of our country. Okay. So now this public debt can be called as public borrowing or even government debt. These are the other terms that you use to call this public debt. So now, this public debt, the government can borrow from within the country and also from outside the country, and they called as internal public debt and external public debt. So what are internal public debt, guys? When you do the borrowings within your country. External means when you do it in from outside the country, right? So now as far as public debt is concerned, in the Indian context, floating of loans. I repeat, floating of loans is public debt in one simple term. Once again, I can tell you. And apart from that, if you see, public debt, there are a lot of definitions given by public debt by different people, economists and all. As far as Article 292 of the Constitution is concerned, the Union government describes those of its liabilities, whatever liability the central government is having, that is called as public debt, and that are contracted against the so-called CFI, which is called as the Consolidated Fund of India. All the revenue of the government of India has been stored under one particular fund called as CFI, Consolidated Fund of India. Take care. So now, the Union government describes your public debt as what? The liability which are contracted against the CFI, and this is as per Article 292 of the Constitution. This is also one way in which you can define public debt. But in a very short and simple manner, the borrowings of the government, that's it, the total borrowing, internal plus external, that is public debt. Now, this public debt, guys, there are few sources as such. What are they? If you see, the sources of public debt is, one is, they are from the dated government securities or GSECs. Next is T-bills or treasury bills. Third one, external assistance. And fourth, short-term borrowings. Now, what are these government securities and treasury bills, by the way? They are the two important sources of public debt or public borrowing. So let us quickly have a look into what these are. So now, a government security is nothing but, in short and simple terms I can tell you, it is a tradable instrument. A government security is a tradable instrument which is issued by whom? By the central as well as the state government. Either of the governments can issue them, And what does this government security do? They'll acknowledge the debt, obligations or responsibilities of our government. Whereas treasury bills or T-bills, they're always called as risk-free instruments. That is, somebody is investing in such kind of treasury bills or T-bills. There is no risk at all, we can say. That's why treasury bills or T-bills are called as zero coupon security. Zero coupon securities. Okay. And this so-called treasury bills or T-bills, which are called as zero coupon securities, I can tell they even issued without interest as such, because there is no interest factor coming up there. They are issued at a discount. There is no interest or return coming as such. That is why they are called as a risk-free instrument. So what do? We issue such kind of T-bills or treasury bills at a discount and redeem at the face value at maturity. This is the meaning of T-bills and also government securities. I hope it is crystal clear to you people. Now, as far as public debt is concerned, why are we studying this? If you see, in the recent scenario, the so-called COVID-19 pandemic has literally shook the entire global economy. And as far as India is concerned, which comes under the developmental perspective, we have been suffering to a greater extent. So we keep on borrowing and borrowing to meet the liabilities that we do have, right? So now public debt has been increasing for our country, India as such. And this pandemic has also contributed to what? To the increase of this public debt. So that is why this particular topic is chosen. So thus public debt receives income and public debt disburses. What are they? They are borrowings and repayments during one particular year, which is done by the government exclusively. Okay? Now, as far as this public debt is concerned, there is another important topic coming under this called as debt to GDP ratio. That is also coming under that. So the keyword debt or borrowing is coming. How is this public debt affecting the GDP of our country? That is gross domestic product. What is GDP? It is one of the most important indicators of national income. That is, it talks about the final value of goods and service which our country we are able to produce in one particular year. From agriculture, secondary sector, that is industrial sector, and also tertiary or service sector. The final output of all these sectors together which you are producing in one particular year. And the next important point is it should be produced or it should be by the normal citizens of our country or any other citizens. That is not an issue at all, as long as they are within the geographical or let's say the domestic territory of a country. That will be taken into consideration for GDP calculation. So now the value of final goods and service produced within the domestic territory of a country during a period of one particular year, irrespective of the nationality. No matter a Japanese or Korean or a US person, Australian is put up in our country, India, and they are producing something, their contribution is also taken into consideration for GDP. So now that is the meaning of GDP. Now how is this GDP connected to debt or borrowing? Let's quickly have a look into it. So debt to GDP ratio indicates how likely the country can pay off the debt. That is, how can we really pay it off. So now investors often look at debt to GDP metric basically to understand or access what? To understand or to have a proper assessment of the ability of the government to finance the debt. That's what I can tell you. So thus, debt to GDP ratio is nothing but, in simple terms, it is a ratio between a country's government debt. Let's say, for example, India's government debt that we have and the ratio between the GDP. What is the GDP ratio and what is the debt that we have? So, for example, if you have a very lower debt to GDP ratio, what is meaning of that? When you have a lower debt to GDP ratio, it indicates that our economy can produce and sell goods and service, and we are capable or sufficient enough to pay back all the debts and all. And there is no need for us to keep on borrowing or incur further debt. That is the meaning. But what about a higher debt? Higher debt means you're keeping on borrowing more. So now a higher debt to GDP ratio means it will literally fuel the economic crisis worldwide, because it is putting you in more and more crises, more and more liabilities. This is called as debt to GDP ratio, and this is one of the hit list topic coming under the broad heading, that is public debt. For your prelims examinations, you may get a question in the context of debt to GDP ratio as such. You may get, okay. It is an important topic. Now, in the context of debt to GDP ratio, there is something put forward by the 15th Finance Commission. We have a Finance Commission, and currently we have the 15th Finance Commission, and the chairperson of that commission is called as N.K. Singh. So now talking about what is the acceptable level of debt to GDP ratio for our country India, the Finance Commission committee chaired by N.K. Singh, he said that on fiscal responsibility budget management, okay, the so-called acceptable level of debt to GDP ratio, it can be 40% for the central government and 20% for the state government, thereby aiming for a total of 60%, guys, of the general government debt to GDP ratio. This is the acceptable level of debt to GDP ratio, which is discussed by your 15th Finance Commission committee formed by Mr. N.K. Singh, called as N.K. Singh Committee. I hope it is crystal clear for you people. Now, having understood the concept of public debt in a clear manner, it's time for us to have a quick look into the current affairs of that as well. So now, here we have the most important current affairs, guys, based on the topic public debt. With regard to the international institutions called as IMF, that is International Monetary Fund, they said that our country India's debt to GDP, it increased by 90%, 90, just because of the so-called COVID-19 pandemic. Previously, if you see, it was just 74%. But today, because of this crisis, from 74, we have jumped to how many points? Oh my goodness, it is 90. And they say that in the year 2021, that is the current year, it may even increase to 99%, because too much of expenditure, too much of other responsibilities, liabilities, and thus, as per the International Monetary Fund is concerned, they also stated that it is to reduce to 80% after economic recovery. That is slowly after this, lockdown and all the other perspectives, from the so-called predicted ratios, they can even reduce to 80%. But that 80 is not a small number. Still a lot more has to be done. This is one important point you need to keep in mind with regard to our country India's debt to GDP, which has been predicted or stated by the International Monetary Fund. Okay? Now, from this particular topic, two of the important questions I've mentioned here, guys, which is very, very important. So now, the first topic talks about India's public debt level is among the highest, guys, in all the emerging economies. Comment on this. That's very true. We can see the predictions given by IMF, and we can see that literally we are having the highest among the emerging economy. That is why the government came with something called as quantitative easing. What is quantitative easing? Now, we know that in order to control the inflations or debt or taxation or whatever or money supply, the government always come with new policies and techniques and all. Similarly, the central bank of our country called as RBI, Reserve Bank of India, which deals with the monetary policy, they have adopted an instrument called as quantitative easing. That is, it is one of the instrument of monetary policy. It is an unconventional, which means not a traditional one, but apart from that, an unconventional monetary policy tool, basically to increase the money supply in the economy. That is why they have increased. As far as the country India is concerned, when debt is there, the meaning of that is we do not have money with us. So we resort to borrowing in many other perspective. So it is very important that money has been pushed into the economy. So such kind of quantitative easing instruments can be applied. So when you write the answer for this particular question, you can include that. Okay. Second one is, how does increased government borrowing affect government finances? That is one topic from this area. Now, from the prelims perspective, here we have another important topic, that is, consider the following statement regarding India's external debt. First statement tells the debtors can be union government, state government, corporations or citizen of India. Second, long-term borrowing dominate India's external debt. 3. The largest of India's external debt is US dollar. 4. Multilateral debt by international financial institution is the largest component of external debt. So this is purely a static question. And now, out of this particular question, applying the technique of keyword elimination comparison, which I have taught you in the Unacademy free special life classes. What is a keyword? Correct statement. Next is India's external debt. We all know that India can borrow within the country, outside the country. But here it is exclusively in the context of external debt or the outside factor. It could be anyone, right? The debtors can be even the central government, state government, anybody can borrow. The first one is correct. So now out of the given options, option number B is eliminated because they don't have one. Now second one, long term means obviously it talks about India's external debt. But now in this particular question, if you see, there is something called as multilateral debt. Do you really think they are the largest component? Quickly give me the right answers. I don't think. Definitely no. So quickly eliminate it. So option number A, B and D is fatafat eliminated because you have the fourth one there, which is the wrong option. So what remains is C, and automatically that becomes the right answer. This is how you'll use the intelligent technique of UPSC called as elimination technique. Okay. Now if you see your commercial borrowings, they remain the largest component of what the external debt, with a share of 38.4%, followed by NR non-resident deposits as well, and the short-term credit. That is why the fourth statement was incorrect. Clear? I hope it is crystal clear to you people. Now, moving on to the next topic of discussion. Topic number 2, which talks about Panchayat Raj. Now, this is again a subject area which comes under Indian economy. After the constitution came into force only, the Article 40, what did they do? In our constitution, they made a mention of panchayats. And Article 246, they empowered the state legislature to legislate with respect to any subject relating to the local self-government. And today we know that Panchayat Raj is very, very important to address the issues and concerns of people from the local level. It is in the context of decentralized governance, right? So now, before going to all these things, let's quickly have a look into what is the meaning of Panchayat Raj, or what are the important topics or points to be covered under that. And this is a very important topic as such from Indian economy, guys. So here we go. It is an institution, PRI, Panchayat Raj Institution, and it was constitutionalized, how guys? Through the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act of 92. Why? Basically to build a very good democracy at the grassroots level, as I told you, decentralized level, bottom-up approach, taking into consideration the proper activities or community participation from the local level to the top level. So basically to have a grassroots level democracy and also the so-called Panchayat Raj institutions. They're entrusted with the task of what? Rural development of our country. It is indeed very important, don't you think so? Because even today, majority of population of our country depends upon agriculture. And those agriculture people, where do they belong? Rural India. So such kind of Panchayat Raj institution is very important. Thus, the PRI, what is that? A system of rural self-government in India. And local self-government is what? They are the management of the, what management? Efficient management of the local affairs by local bodies who have been elected by the local people. From there, it will go to district level. From there, district, it goes to state. From state, it goes to central level. This is how the hierarchy goes. This is what is called as Panchayat Raj institutions in simple terms. Clear? Now, as far as the Panchayat Raj is concerned, it's very, very important for us to have a quick look into what are the current affairs based on this particular topic. Don't you think so? So, since the concept is crystal clear for you people, here we go, the current affairs. As far as the recent trending current affairs is concerned, our country, India, we commemorate the 12th National Panchayat Raj Day. When was that? On the month of April 2021. Exactly on 24th April 2021. And our PM Modi ji has launched the distribution of few e-property, I mean electronic property cards, via a scheme called as Swamvita scheme on this particular day. So the keyword e-property cards, the keyword Swamvita scheme are the hit list topics for the upcoming UPSC prelims examinations from the main area Panchayat Raj. That is why I taught you what are Panchayat Raj institutions. Clear? Let's have a quick look into what is the scheme all about. Okay. The full form of Swamvita scheme is survey of villages and mapping with improvised technology in village area. And now this is a scheme in association with the Ministry of Panchayat Raj, the state Panchayat Raj departments and also state revenue departments in Survey of India. So normally when you talk about villages, you may think that the Ministry of Rural Development can come. But then for village only, you have the Panchayat institutions to develop them. So now when you have a ministry for that, it cannot be the Ministry of Rural Development, rather the Ministry of Panchayat Raj. This is a very, very important topic of discussion, guys, from this particular area. Questions can be framed for the prelims from here as well. Okay. Now, what do you do in this particular scheme? Basically, to provide an integrated, together property validation solution exclusively for rural India via the drone technologies and all the perspectives. So, what they will do is, in this particular Swamvita scheme, they will go for the mapping of lands, guys, in all the rural inhabited areas. They cannot do that simply. They need the help of a technology to do that. So what they'll do, they'll use the drone technology. All of you know the drone one, the helicopter wala drone technology. So they will actually use that along with another technology called as CORS, continuously operating reference station. That is how they will be able to provide an integrated property validation solution for the rural India. And not only just for few parts, guys, the mapping will be done across the country in a structure of phase-wise manner. And the targeted period is 4 years, starting from 2020 to 2024. So by 2024, almost all the property in the rural area, they'll get a proper validation. And they will also be issuing something called as electronic or e-property card to safeguard what the lands of these rural households. Clear? So this is what your Samvita scheme is all about. What are the important questions to be noted? Here we go. No Panchayat Raj is better than bad Panchayat Raj. On occasion of Silver Jubilee year of Panchayat Raj, discuss do we have a true democratic decentralization? So based on the importance of Panchayat Raj, you can write this write the answer for this particular question, and it should have a highlight on all the important achievements and other perspectives taken by the government. The next one is present in detail the evolution of Panchayat Raj in India. So a little about the background, the origin, and also currently are we benefiting out of it. All these things can come in the second question. Now moving to the prelims question, guys, from this particular topic is the committees which examine the center-state relations. Which are they? Option number 1 tells Sarkari Commission, 2 L.M. Singhvi Committee, 3 Rajamannar Committee, 4 M.M. Punchi Commission. Quick. Which one do you think? So I think people are really thinking. Really? Do you think all the above? May or may not be. And here we go. The answer is option number B. Only your first, third and fourth is correct, whereas second is wrong. That is, your L.M. Singhvi Committee doesn't come under that. So all those who gave the right answer, that's a kudos to you people. Okay. So now, as far as this particular question is concerned, your answer is option number B. If you see in the year 1986, okay, when you had the Rajiv Gandhi government, they appointed a committee to prepare a concept paper on the so-called Panchayat Raj. They want to improve or revitalize the Panchayat institutions for democracy and development. And that was done under the chairmanship of L.M. Singhvi. Clear? But the question was pertaining to what? The question here was pertaining to the committees which examine center-state relations. That is, except L.M. Singhvi Committee, every other committee, Sarkaria, Rajmannar, M.M. Punchi Committee, all these focused on that. Whereas L.M. Singhvi Committee is exclusively in the context of what? Your Panchayat institutions under Rajiv Gandhi government. Clear? The next important topic of discussion for the day deals with food security. Again, the most important topic, because we know that even today our country, India, we do face a lot of issues with regard to hunger, and that is why we are having poverty. And what about food security? Are we really able to provide? That's the next question. So now, in very short, simple and crisp manner, I can tell you that food security is achieved only when the 3 A's are satisfied. What are the 3 A, guys? I can tell you that food security in simple terms is equal to 3A. Accessibility, affordability, availability. Or I can put it like this also. Availability, accessibility, affordability. If these three things are satisfied, then you can say, chalo, there is food security. So now there is a proper definition given by the United Nations Committee, guys, on World Food Security. Take care. It means that all people at all times have physical, social and economic access to safe, sufficient and nutritious food. It's not just the availability of food, but rather the nutritious food, which will meet the food preferences and dietary needs for an active and healthy life of any individual. As far as the country India is concerned, a lot of people are put up in the BPL category, below poverty line category, right? So it's very, very important that we need to make sure that they are food secure, not insecure, but rather secure. So this is how you will define food security. You just keep the 3 A's in mind: accessibility, availability and affordability. Everybody should get food via the PDS, public distribution system, in the proper time, on a regular manner and also at affordable cost. That's very, very important, right? This particular picture signifies how many people are poor in our country who are literally struggling for one-time food, right? Now, there are 3 elements, as I told you, in their food security. One is availability. It must be available in sufficient quantity and also on a continuous basis. And for that, a proper stock of food should be made available by the government through buffer stock, where the Food Corporation of India, they will collect all the food items or food grains from the farmers directly. by providing them a price called as MSP, minimum support price. What is MSP? It is a remunerative price given by the government to the farmers for whatever crops they're producing. It's a kind of assurance given to the farmers. No matter whatever you produce, you will be getting some sort of benefit which doesn't go beyond the market value or below the market value. Okay. So through that, the government should collect and then give it to the Food Corporation of India, from where they will be supplying that through the ration shops through PDS, that is public distribution system. Next is food access. Everybody, they should be able to have proper access and also affordability as such, and also food utilization. Clear? That is, whatever food has been given, food grains has been given to people via the ration shops or fare shops, they must be of nutritional quality. That is very, very important. Just giving any sort of food doesn't do the job. It should be of proper nutritional quality to maintain the health of the individual. And don't you think so? Food security is very important for a country? Absolutely it is. For boosting the agriculture sector, for having a control on food prices. If you want to have a better economic growth and employment opportunities, again you need it. Only then you can reduce poverty as such. Again, food security is important because for trade opportunities. Then for increased global security, and also for what? Improved health and healthcare. For all these things you need food security. It is indeed very, very important. Otherwise there is no point at all. But then, do you think a country India is food secure? If that was the case, then we would not have been struggling to be a developed economy like this. We are still developing, not developed, because the so-called social evil, that is your poverty, is on the rise. Right? A load of people are dying out of hunger, starvation, some kuch like that. So now here we go. Few of the challenges to food security. What are they? Climate change. Climate change is a burning issue not only for a country, India, but for the entire globe. That is true. Because problem with regard to drought, when there is a drought or when there is a flood or when there is some other climatic issues or weather conditions, it will affect the farming to a greater extent. Not only the farm, agriculture or the farm products, even the allied activities like livestock, fishery, forestry, aquaculture, sab kuch can have a great economic and social consequences in the form of reduced income, which can have an adverse impact in the life of the people who are dependent upon all these perspectives. Clear? Next important problem of food security or challenges, lack of access to remote area. We are supposed to make sure that the rural and remote area people are also getting access to such kind of food grains via the ration shops or fare shops. But if you see, for few of the communities like tribal people, there is no proper access, leading to economic backwardness. Then increase in rural to urban migration. So what happens? Again, people think that they'll go to urban areas under the context of improvement, development and all. But once they go there, the living standard is too high. They are unable to match up with the urban living lifestyle. Automatically, people who migrate from rural to urban area may not be even able to find a proper job, a proper shelter. At the end of the day, they end up in urban slums. Their condition becomes even more pathetic. So that is also one thing, right? This excess of migration, because creation of urban slum is also on the rise. That is there. Thereby, they do not have a proper basic facilities of housing, shelter and also food as such. Whereby food insecurity is on the rise. Next is overpopulation, poverty, lack of education, also gender inequality. All these are the challenges of food security, no doubt in that. Now, since we have done with the basics of food security, it is important for us to have a look into the current affairs of it. So the trend in current affairs these days is with regard to the National Food Security Mission. That is one of the recent government initiative to make sure that people of our country are not deprived of this food as such. So now what is this National Food Security Mission? They are a centrally sponsored scheme. Please make a note of this. Sometimes people tend to get confused in this as such. Central sector scheme means 100% funding for one particular project is done by the central government. No other governments, organizations will come in that. Whereas centrally sponsored means half the funding will be by the central government, remaining will be by the state government. The ratio they will decide depending upon the schemes or programs or whatever it is. Clear? So as far as National Food Security Mission is concerned, it is a shared scheme, a centrally sponsored one. And since 2007 you have it. And what is the aim of that? To increase the production of all the important commodities, agriculture commodities or food grains like your rice, wheat, pulses, coarse cereals, commercial crops. Now, out of this, rice and wheat is very, very important, as India holds a great place with regard to these. And we are a very good exporter with regard to rice as well. That is why we have a fortified variety of rice. We have so many export policies telling that we should improve it to a greater extent. And pulses. That is also very important because India is the largest producer and the consumer of pulses. And that is why more production of pulses has been on the rise. So individually also you may get questions on this same. Clear? Now, similarly, like a National Food Security Mission, other important current affairs under the food security with regard to government initiative is RKVY. What is that? Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, Improvement of Agriculture. Again, in the same year 2011, it was initiated, and through this particular Vikas Yojana, it will allow the states to start choosing their own agriculture and allied sector development activities, which is given as per the district or state agriculture plan. And previously it was a central sector scheme. Then they converted it to a centrally sponsored one. Where 100% fund, where the share will be done. Take care. Though it was converted into a centrally sponsored scheme in the year 2014-15, you had assistance from the government, guys, 100%. Clear? And now there has been a change in the Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana as to Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, the remunerative approaches for agriculture and allied sector remuneration. So initially it was called only as Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana. Today you call it as what? Your RKVY Raftar. What is Raftar? Remunerative approaches for agriculture and allied sector. What can you do for making sure that the agriculture and the related sectors based on that will fetch in better remuneration or income for the 3 years, that is from the year 2017 to 18 to 2020. Clear? Then you have another scheme based on integrated schemes on oilseeds, pulses, palm and maize, ISOPM. Then your Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, which spoke about the insurance, giving a premium insurance for the crops grown by the farmers, which is indeed important. Then to make your agriculture production more vivid and diverse, and also to have a proper marketing of that and ensure food security. Now in the era of digitalization, they started making things to online perspective. So we had something called as e-marketplace. The government created an electronic national agriculture market called as eNAM. So through this, the farmers will be able to connect all the regulated wholesale produce market through a pan-India trading portal, which will enable them to have a lot of accessibility, better trading of their products, and also fetching a better income. So eNAM is Electronical National Agriculture Marketing. Next is Massive Irrigation and Soil and Water Harvesting Program. Basically to increase the country's irrigated area, because irrigated area is also very important for agriculture, right? Now, that's all with regard to food security. Now, important questions to be noted from the mains perspective is, the real challenge to India's food security is poor grain management rather than a shortage of grain production. Comment on this. That is very true. That is, the grain management that we have, though we are having surplus of production also, many a times we are unable to manage them properly due to lack of storage facilities or any other perspective. So, comment on that particular perspective. And next is the road to zero hunger by 2030. Very, very important in the context of Global Hunger Index. If you see the rank of our country, India is 92 out of 1 or 2 countries, and we have put up 94 out of 1 or 2 countries, and we have still put up what? In a serious category. A lot more has to be done to eradicate this, right? So keeping all those points in mind, you can go for the second question. Now, moving into another important prelims question of the day based on food security is, with reference to National Food Security Act, consider the following statement. First one, under the Act, grievance and redressal mechanism at the district and state level have to be set up, and provisions have to be made for disclosure of records relating to PDS. Second, the Act provides for social audits and setting up a vigilance committee in order to ensure transparency and accountability. Third, under this Act, food security allowance is paid to persons who do not get food grains for some reason. You got to give the right answer. So quickly tell me, option number A, B, C or D. Definitely the answer can't be all the above, because there is no option like that. And here we go. Yes, the key word is incorrect statement, which means identify the wrong statement, and the answer is A. Only the first one is wrong, whereas second and third is correct statement. Clear? So with that, we are done for today, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this short fundamental CRIPS course and economy concept based on current affairs discussion as well. So if you do like the video, don't forget to like, share and put your valuable feedbacks in the comment box. And for all the sessions of mine in Unacademy, guys, the free classes for the month of June, the link is given below in the description box. 6 to 7 p.m. is the timing. You can just enroll for MCQ. And currently a NCRT batch course is happening. You can enroll for that as well. It is at 2 p.m. and the code is nisha.nujumuddin for the free as well as the plus course for your discounts and PDFs and all the perspectives. So thank you so much. I hope this session was insightful for all you people and enriched your knowledge. Thank you and Jai Hind.